Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast live on Facebook, YouTube, and later on our podcast channel. Please remember to like and subscribe. Man United have beaten Newcastle United 4-1 down at Old Trafford. And of course, all the attention was on the return of Cristiano Ronaldo. And he didn't disappoint his supporters. He scored a brace against Newcastle United. And Bruno Fernandes got a third, while Jesse Lingard got the fourth. Manquillo had pulled the scores level early on in the second half. And Newcastle, for large parts of the game, actually looked quite decent. But they were just let down by some mistakes. But also, Man United just had, huge amounts of quality that Newcastle United simply do not have. But it was a better performance, I think, than many expected. And the scoreline is probably flattering Manchester United slightly. It's probably more the scoreline that many predicted, but not really worthy of the performance Newcastle put in. That said, Newcastle have lost. They are 19th, have now conceded 12 goals in their opening 4 games. They're without a win. There were Bruce out chance towards the end of the game. The pressure is ramping up, and it now means Leeds United on Friday at St James's Park, 8 p.m. kickoff. It is a huge game, and we're only, 5 games into the Premier League season. In a moment, I'll play you Lee Ryder's verdict. He was down at Old Trafford. There's been lots of reaction to the press conference and lots of reaction to the questions that Steve Bruce was asked. But what I'll do for the moment, I will play Lee Ryder's verdict now. And this is what Lee had to say about the game and the reaction.
So Newcastle United have been beaten here 4-1. Probably the final score is harsh on them on the basis of how they performed throughout the afternoon. It was a late collapse that really, gave Man United, what all the world's media had come to see really today. But for long periods, I thought they made a decent fist of the game. Got back into it at 1-1, dared to push on and get another one after that. The fans were loving it at that point. And then, at the end of the game, we see the negativity, which has probably been in the post, if we're being honest. Last season, we had a full year without fans behind the scenes. And, here we are at the bottom of the table, near the bottom of the table after 4 games. So it's a culmination of unhappiness from the supporters. Anything that's directed to the owner, that's been going on for a long time. Anything that's been directed at the head coach. Steve Bruce not very happy in his press conference when those tough questions, if you like, were put his way about the preparations for this game, and had they emerged with a point or even a 2-1 defeat, even a low defeat would not have, gone down as badly as this. But ultimately, Newcastle go into this week on a downer. They've been beaten 4-1 here. It's Leeds at home on Friday night. It's going to be very tough. But lots of reaction on the Chronicle website, so worth checking out, I'd say.
Certainly is. You can read the quotes from Steve Bruce at his press conference, and that's really where we will start. So we know a lot of you guys wanted to know whether Steve Bruce had been on a holiday during the national break. There was a few pictures on social media that seemed to show him on a flight to somewhere. Now, it wasn't confirmed, but we were asked by several fans, to ask the question to Steve Bruce, and that's exactly what we did in the press conference. And what I'll do is I'll just read you out the quote that Steve Bruce responded with. And he said, and I'm quoting now, "Wow, go on. Do you think I really have to answer that to you? That's what the fans are asking, are they? We have trained all week and we win every day. The preparation was meticulous. Let me tell you, there was nothing more in preparation. What was I supposed to do? We had 6 of them away. The preparation was fine and we've been in all week. You could see the game plan was what we worked to. To have to answer questions like that is typical to the question I would get off you and your newspaper. If I am being brutally honest, that's why they are the way they are, the way you are, and your negativity and your newspaper." So clearly, Bruce not happy with the question, not happy, it seems, with maybe some of the coverage from here at us at Chronicle Live. He was also asked about supporters who unfurled a banner asking the head coach to leave. And he said, "What can I say to that? I'm delighted. I can't count on that. Sorry." So obviously a bit of sarcasm there. Really fiery kind of reaction from Steve Bruce. But it was a question that needed to be asked because plenty of people were asking, and we still didn't actually get an answer to it. My personal opinion is that he's entitled to a break, and he could have quite easily just said, you know what, yeah, I was on holiday, but the preparation was meticulous, and then you could have taken the positives from today. And there were a few positives. I know people in the comments saying there weren't. There were a few positives. You could have taken them into the Leeds game, worked on them, 8 p.m. kickoff in front of hopefully 40-odd thousand or so, and won the game. Put on a good show and picked up the first win of the season. As it is, the focus is now on these few comments, and it's not helpful for anyone, I don't think. Yeah, looking at the game today, obviously, like we say, Man United won 4-1, and it was a shame Woodman didn't have the best of games. He obviously got Caldalo now back fighting fit, and that might have been playing on his mind slightly. It's a big occasion for Woodman. But he spilled the effort from Greenwood, and the ball span in the path of Ronaldo, who just had to tap it home. He's got to be doing better there. Yes, it was a hard shot from Greenwood, but keeper has to be stopping that, or at least putting it away from danger, and he just put it into Ronaldo's path. And that was it. Ronaldo opened the scoring right before the half-time whistle, and Newcastle at that point had really, I wouldn't say matched Manchester United, but it wasn't working for Manchester United. Fernandes had a shot wide, but they weren't really showing the dominance which many expected. Willock had a chance. It was from a tight angle, and he put one over the bar. And if they'd got in 0-0 at the break, then many people would have been happy with that. Obviously, 0-0, Old Trafford, Ronaldo, all that. I think people would have been quite happy with that. But as it was, Ronaldo made it 1-0 just before half-time. But Newcastle came out with a heads up, and Manquillo got the equaliser. 56 minutes on the clock. Really good goal. Annoyingly, though, they were only level for 6 minutes, and it's not good enough, especially when you play Manchester United, and you've got to hold on to what you've got. And Ronaldo went and grabbed a second 6 minutes later, 2-1. Getting questions over whether Woodman should have done better. Ronaldo was played into the box, and he drives it low, goes under Woodman through his legs, sort of. I don't know. I'd like to see it again on Match of the Day just to see a bit more of it. But yeah, plenty of people asking, pointing out that Woodman maybe should have done better with that. I'm not too sure on that one. But Newcastle did have chances. Joe Linton forced De Gea into it, a good save, and they weren't as bad as the scoreline suggested. However, Bruno Fernandes scored a great goal with 10 minutes left, and then Jesse Lingard towards the end of the game made it 4-1, and the scoreline makes it look a lot worse than it actually was. I guess, though, a lot of you guys are saying, well, in reality, Newcastle are 19th, conceded 12 goals in 4 games without a win out of the cup. Yeah, it's worrying. And then you look at Leeds, who are really good attacking-wise. It is very worrying. But, a lot of people are saying there are some positives. We've got, Alan Shearer saying there were, positives. This is what he had to say to BBC 5 Live. He mentions Freddie Woodman. He, in his opinion, had a poor game. He thought Ronaldo punished Newcastle. And as you can see there, he says, I thought Newcastle offered a lot on the counter-attack. There were 2 or 3 times where better final pass give them a better situation. And he's not wrong there. There's a few times when Ant Maxim was in a good position and he just picked out the right pass. Newcastle would have been in on goal. Unfortunately, it's not the case. And that's maybe the one negative of his game. Sometimes he holds on to it too much. His decision-making is not up to that of a really top class player. But he's young and he can work on that. And, I know people will say you're scraping around for positives, but there were a few, Sean Longstaff had a decent enough game. He made 40 out of 49 passes, won 5 out of his 8 duels. Almiron, especially early in the second half, was really driving forward. He went off a little bit towards the end. Joe Willock showing his defensive kind of ability as well. He won 13 out of 14 duels. Of course, we want him further up the pitch to get the goals that we saw last season. But the important point is that there were some positives to take out of that game. And the 4-1 scoreline, as Lee says, is a bit unfortunate. But that doesn't help Newcastle United right now, does it? They are where they are, and they've got to pick up a win against Leeds United. It's a massive game. We're only 5 games in. I'll be outside of St James's Park doing a bit of filming, talking to fans. So if you are there, I'll be along the pavement, outside the Milburn stand. So outside the Gallagher end. So come down and find me and have a bit of a chat with me. And fingers crossed they can get the win. And it's just frustrating. This is Newcastle United, isn't it? Steve Bruce seems a little bit I don't know if rattle's the right word, but his reaction, as you saw there, was quite something. And the pressure will only ramp up if Newcastle start the game poorly against Leeds, and heaven forbid they actually lose. The atmosphere will be something different. The Bruce out chants didn't start until later on in the game, pretty much right towards the end, but then they were very audible. The away fans stuck by the team. They applauded the members of the team who went over at full time. But interestingly, I think against Leeds, it'll be interesting to see how many people are actually in the ground, and then the reaction of St James's Park if they don't get off to a good start. But that is for later next week. We'll have a preview with John Gibson later in the week, and we'll have hopefully a Q&A with either Mark or Lee also later in the week. Hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your weekend, despite Newcastle losing 4-1 to Manchester United down at Old Trafford. Do head over to chroniclelive.co.uk where you can keep updated with all the latest Newcastle United news, including more from Steve Bruce and some of the players' reaction as well. Thank you for joining us, and please remember to like and subscribe.